Welcome to another edition of What of Fatah. It seems the news around the region of the Indian subcontinent and West Asia never gets better or worse, should I say. News from Afghanistan today is very troubling. The Taliban, uh, unstoppable, have occupied the capital of what is actually Afghanistan's Baloch area, the Nimrud area, just on the border with Pakistan. And they've carried out some terrible atrocities on the population. Women have been killed, men have been slaughtered, enemies have been sought out, people's homes have been destroyed. And there seems to be absolutely no one able to stop this. I was hoping the UN Security Council, of which India was the chair, would come up with a strong denunciation and a reprimand to the government of Pakistan, because as you and I know, that most of this Taliban nonsense is made in Pakistan. And most of the armaments, most of the ammunition that these people have comes across the border from Pakistan. It's not being sent there from someone. And one of the most tragic aspects of this story is how the Americans ran with the tails between their legs. The Taliban have been able to get hold of all the machinery and the trucks and the Humvees that the Americans abandoned. You know the story about 5,000 vehicles where the Americans went without leaving behind the keys to these. Of course, a very selfish act, but whatever the act, whether it is Saigon, it is Kabul, their escape routes are always the same. There's some very African statesman said a very profound statement that the armies of the North bring freedom, never bring freedom to the people of the South. And once again, it has been proven. But surely India, as head of the UN Security Council, could have insisted on a more resolution and the demand for a UN sanction under Section 6 of a UN peacekeeping corps, putting the place under UN peacekeeping troops, like it's been done in Haiti, it's been done in the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's been done at a number of places where Indian troops have actually gone to maintain the peace. So why are they getting away so easily? Pakistan sits atop an international network by the ISI, where its critics get assassinated, kidnapped, they disappear, journalism has been clamped down. The only outside reporters that are coming into Afghanistan, you will notice, are more of stars than actual reporting. Otherwise, why would they be sending reporters who are female inside the war zone of Afghanistan? Because the Taliban also tolerated if you are from the West and you can just give the stories that mildly suit, do not offend the sensibilities of viewership in the West, because after all, there's an Olympics going on. We rather concentrate on who's winning the football matches or the gymnasts and what they are wearing, rather than who's dying and what they were wearing when they were. I'm saying this because a woman was beheaded simply because she wore jeans under her burqa. This is what's happening. And imagine what's going to happen if and when Kandahar and Kabul fall back into the hands of these jihadis. Will we then sit back and say we did nothing? Because 9/11 didn't happen in isolation. For 9/11 to happen, the East African bombings had to take place. The USS Cole had to be hit. The practice runs were made in Sudan. And then bin Laden, nobody objected to his being there. And then Pakistan based Khalid Sheikh Mohammed engineered the mastermind behind 9/11. Does the United States of America want that? Does the Republic of India want that? But nobody seems to have the will to go there and intervene. India has invested over $3 billion in building infrastructure, hospitals, dams for the Afghan allies. But is that all that India can do? This is a question from someone who lives in Canada and has a great affection for everything that is Indian. But surely Bharat or Hindustan has to learn a lesson that the reason you never invaded any other country meant that every other country thought they could come and occupy you. We went through 1,000 years of an occupation where some of the occupiers still command and demand that their culture be respected and their authority be honored under the Indian Constitution. So, what if another Taimur arises out of the Taliban and Pakistan, which I believe in a decade or two will dismember, and there will be tiny little Bhutans over here or there, or the Afghanistan border will shift to the Indus River? Do you think these Babars and Tughlaqs of our time will stop or will view New Delhi as a partner? If that is so, then probably the think tanks of India and the great gurus that determine policy have not yet understood what is at stake here. And I'd like to repeat it again and again, and people may call it fear mongering, but this, brothers and sisters, is Ghazwa-i-Hind. If you can't get that now, you'll never get it. By now, and I might be simply speculating out of ignorance, but by now, India should be thinking about how it will intervene to save its allies who will be caught up in Kabul. You do know Nur Muhammad Taraki was actually from Mumbai, the president of Afghanistan who was killed with Pakistani involvement. Babar Karmal, Hafizullah Amin, all the people who looked, or even Zahir Shah, all the people who looked at Afghanistan future, they wanted to see Afghanistan rise in Central Asia as a dignified place. Where did they go? At the end of the swords of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And India today still doesn't have a policy that determines that if this happens, what will we do? What's happening in Afghanistan is directly a threat to the Republic of India, to the people of India. You may not desire territory. Bharat has never invaded any country, but other countries, whether it is China or Pakistan, or prior to that, the Sultans and the Portuguese and the Dutch and you name it, everybody came to India. And that is why the word India is spread right across the globe from the American state of Indiana to Indochina, to Indonesia, the Indian Ocean. So I recommend all of you to pick up the book by Francois Gautier, the great French reporter from Le Figaro who settled down in India. He's a Hindu, and he writes about the need for India to stand up and assert itself. Afghanistan is now what gave rise to the atrocities of 9/11, to Al Qaeda, to the Islamic State, ISIS, which is today attacking Mozambique? Do you think they will not attack India? If they can go across to the Congo and Nigeria, is India too far uh, behind? Do you think they will not have safe passage through Pakistan? Of course, your Indian intelligence is far better today than it was when Mumbai was attacked, but still, a stance has to be taken in solidarity with the government in Afghanistan. What's the point in building dams for $3 billion when the Taliban are there to destroy it or make money out of it? You built the Chabahar port on the coast of Iran so that India would have a straight route to Central Asia through eastern Iran and southern Afghanistan. Where will it go? You think the Taliban are going to let you pass across? They have declared what nobody admits is their war against kufr. Most Hindus don't know, but in Muslim terminology, you are kafirs. You are the people who need to be destroyed before there is peace and harmony across the world, ruled by the Ummat or the Ummah under a caliphate that eliminates every Hindu temple. Don't call what I'm saying as fear mongering. I'm simply saying what's written and what's prophesied by the ulama of India, or those who cut up India and made Pakistan, or those who support the Taliban and celebrate their victory while putting on an act of horror. My plea today is, if there are policymakers who might or might not listen to what I'm saying, that Taliban taking over Afghanistan is like inviting Taimur, Babar, Lodhi, and the entire pack of plunderers back into Bharat and making way for them. You want to stop them the way Alexander was stopped by Porus, then you got to act like Porus. And it's about time that if you're head of the Security Council and chairing a meeting about Afghanistan, you are the primary people who know the subject. You don't have to listen to Americans and the British and the European Union or China and Russia to lecture us about what are the dangers of the Taliban taking over. We know, we have suffered under the agency of the Taliban that allowed everything else to happen. And once again, wake up, and instead of $3 billion investing in dams, invest in a division of Indian troops that go to Kabul and save that city. Is that a frightening idea? You feel it is not our policy? Then what is India's policy if it can't protect an ally? We didn't intervene to help the Mukti Bahini create Bangladesh. Can't we send our soldiers, our military forces, our air force to protect the government in Kabul and tell the world this was a call of help from the president, vice president, and the allies who are asking the world for help, and nobody comes forward because everyone is afraid that there are 52 Islamic nations, and that's a block that can stop any activity of sanity in the United Nations. It's a veto without sitting on the Security Council. So, if there's no one listening to me, that's fine. But if one of you have, please send it to the Prime Minister. Please send it to the Foreign Minister. Please send it to the Babus who inhabit India's capital and tell them there's more to it then your internal fight. Sometimes it is Indian civilization that has to be saved by nipping in the bud those who seek to wipe out the quote unquote kuffar from the land of Hind. And always remember, Bina Sindh, there is no Hind. Sindh should be in the eyes and ears and heart of every Hindustani because that's in your national anthem. And today it is Mohenjo-daro and Takshila under Pakistani occupation. Am I saying anything wrong? Do let me know. But I think I speak from my heart, and most of you will understand that this is a very precious civilization. Bharat is 5,000 years old. Mohenjo-daro has to be part of Hindustan. Takshila should be part of India. The Indus should be part of India. Is there any Farsi involved that you cannot understand? That the word Sindhu and Hindu comes from the Indus? Perhaps a rereading of Indian history might help you. So stop aiming for an MBA and start looking for your own heritage and your own future. Take care. Namaskar. Khuda Hafiz.